All right, Shakur Stevenson puts on a masterclass versus Oscar Valdez. It was a great fight. It was entertaining. It was good to watch. It was good to watch Shakur Stevenson wheels turning up in there, and good to see him operate and do his thing. The kid was sharp. He was on point. He controlled everything with his range and knowing how to keep distance and probing and using that jab. Shakur Stevenson counterpunching skills was second next to none. I mean, the kid was just sharp and he looked great. It was a good fight, and it was a good effort from Oscar Valdez as well. He didn't relent. He didn't buckle. He kept coming forward, even though at times it was signs of no beating at Shakur Stevenson. He still gave his best in there, and that is respected. Now, when it comes to Shakur Stevenson's performance, and a little bit more, just being a little bit more critical, I would like to see Shakur Stevenson add some more traps to his game. I would like to see Shakur Stevenson do some more trapping. I would also like Shakur Stevenson to add in some head work, because at times Shakur Stevenson's head was too still for me. He can get away with that with somebody with short arms like Oscar Valdez, but even though Shakur Stevenson is good at controlling range, he needs to learn how to get his head off the line and, learn more ways to get around a punch other than just leaning back. I didn't like that too much, and that's something that he needs to work on, because Shakur Stevenson almost has little to no head movement at all. If I'm just being super critical. And when it comes to Oscar Valdez, I mean, he did what he could, at the end of the day. But my respect for Oscar Valdez doesn't really come from what he did inside the ring. It actually comes from what he did outside of the ring. And by that, I mean that Oscar Valdez, instead of choosing to make excuses, which, the reporter that was interviewing him was trying to create holes so he could make excuses, for his loss. He didn't take the bait. Call it pride, call it whatever. But Oscar Valdez, instead of taking that route, he chose to be honest and give Shakur Stevenson his props, because they was trying to set Oscar Valdez up to make an excuse for why he took a loss, and Oscar Valdez just didn't accept the bait. And at the end of the day, I respected that, because he could have went that route, and a lot of people would have ran with it. They wanted to run with it. They wanted Oscar Valdez to say something like that. Well, the reason he won was he had this, or he was doing this. You know what I'm saying? They were ready for that, but Oscar Valdez didn't give him the room to do it. So, you got to give credit for Oscar Valdez for, being honest and taking a higher road. And also, I think it helped himself mentally by further admitting the truth and not breaking out the excuse train to hide behind, because at the end of the day, Oscar Valdez know what reality is. And as far as Shakur Stevenson's statements about beating Canelo and beating Oscar Valdez and beating Eddie Reynoso, because he said he wasn't just fighting Oscar Valdez, he was also beating Team Canelo and Eddie Reynoso. I know a lot of people didn't like that, but I feel that, and I'm glad Shakur Stevenson said it, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if you remember when Andre Ward was helping Caleb Plant get ready for Canelo Alvarez, a lot of Canelo Alvarez fans was upset, saying it was disrespectful. Talk about, if that's how he feels, why don't he bring his ass out of retirement? Oh, Andre Ward is a hater for helping out a fellow boxer. Andre Ward was called a hater. Yet when Canelo was helping out Oscar Valdez every single day, giving him tips and stuff like that, I didn't hear anybody complain or call Canelo Alvarez a hater for helping out Oscar Valdez. But yet Andre Ward was called a hater for helping out Caleb Plant against Canelo Alvarez in his fight. And that just goes to show the difference and the hypocrisy when it comes to these Canelo Alvarez / pro-Mexican type fans. You know what I'm saying? Like, their energy is completely different and total and it's totally hypocritical. So I'm glad Shakur Stevenson said that, because nobody gave Canelo a hard time for helping out Oscar Valdez. If anything, people understand it. But I thought it was silly at the end of the day, because I don't know how Canelo's going to help you with this style of fighter in which he has trouble with himself, in which he also avoids his damn self. So I don't know how Canelo Alvarez could have added anything to what Oscar Valdez could have done inside that ring. That's just my personal opinion. But as far as Shakur Stevenson go, I hope that he unifies. I don't want him to move up. I hope that he, chases down Undisputed, because I want to see him fight the rest of the champions, and he got the skills. So why not put that on your resume, and let the world see how good you are. Dominate a whole weight class, to where it's undisputed that you are the best in that weight class, and then go ahead and move up. He already got 2 of the belts, 3 if you count in the Ring magazine. So he might as well go ahead and just clean up the rest of the division. He right there. He got the skills to do it. And this is the thing. The dangerous thing about Shakur Stevenson, as good as he is, he still got some growing to do. He hasn't peaked yet. He's really still just, developing, but his development stage is so elite. It's scary to think where he could eventually end up at the end of the day. It really is. But great performance for Shakur Stevenson. I would have liked for Shakur Stevenson to get a knockout. I think that he could have got the knockout. I think he could have stopped Oscar Valdez. I thought that would have been even more impressive, because although his win was good, stopping Oscar Valdez would have just been, if people are praising for this performance right here, I think if he stopped Oscar Valdez, which I think he totally had the capability at the end, it'll just make that much more of a statement. People would have talked about this fight that much more, So I wish he would have pressed the gas on that, instead of kind of just fading off into the later rounds and, basically kind of riding into the sunset. But I knew if he pressed the issue, he could have got Oscar Valdez out of there. I kind of wish he started throwing combinations more earlier, start breaking them down more earlier. But this also, watching somebody as good as Shakur Stevenson, this also made me appreciate Terrence Bud Crawford, and how good of a closer Terrence Bud Crawford is, because Shakur Stevenson definitely got elite hands. He's definitely an elite fighter. But when it comes to closing, man, closing is such an important element of boxing. A lot of people can get these guys in trouble, but getting them out there, that's another kind of skill, But it just made me appreciate people like Terrence Bud Crawford even more, because Terrence Bud Crawford closing skills is second to none, and that's what I would like to have seen Shakur Stevenson do. So nonetheless, great performance. Props to Shakur, and props to Oscar Valdez for keeping it real with his fucking self, because at the end you can lie to us, but you can't lie to yourself at the end of the day. And I think one of the best things he did was accept defeat like a man, and not lie to himself and choose to make excuses. But that's my thoughts on that. I'm out.